It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Welcome to Circuit of the Americas. This is the practice qualifying session, combined session for today's inaugural Endurance Challenge North America round. I'm Jeremy Scott alongside Joe Peak, and we'll have 40 minutes of action. This is going to set the field for today's race. Joe, this is an exciting new format that we have here in the basically under the Porsche Sprint Challenge ladder, but it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting.
Exactly. It's something that has been highly looked forward to by both the drivers, the teams, the organizers here in this series. There's been a lot to try and get this set up, and this is just the first of many races we'll have over the course this season, culminating with returning here later in the fall for a 6-hour race. But it's going to be 60 minutes later today, and this will set the order with a combination of each of the drivers' time. So you can't just rest on having one hot shoe out there. You need both drivers to be quick because it is going to be a combined total time from them.
It is, and there are a lot of very quick drivers. And, of course, also you have some drivers who are running solo, which is interesting because it's hot. It's already 80 degrees outside here at 8:01 a.m. Central Time as we get ready for race day here at the Circuit of the Americas. We're on board with the 86 of Ian Porter, at least that's his car. Once we get through...
It is Ian in the car, yeah.
So here's what we're working with. This is something new for us as well. On our timing screen, where the names normally are, we have the teams. So we got to look all the way to the right for the active driver. It's interesting because they
My
have
life is so difficult.
It is so difficult. Well, how many times have you done it in Enduro where you've had to do, that? You used to driver go to each team. Okay, you're driving first, you're driving second. No, now we have driver IDs. So when these drivers do switch over, it will show up on there. Still working with it on our timing tower that you see on the left-hand side of your screen if you are watching us on YouTube Flow Racing or here at the Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, we'll try to keep you filled in on who is in what car as we're watching, but seeing what Ian can do here. It was interesting yesterday because he came off of a win in the Cayman Series, but on the podium, he said it doesn't really feel like a win because the leader had car problems and he kind of inherited it. That's the kind of competitor this guy is.
And I actually talked to Nick Schaefer while you were doing your podium ceremonies, and he said something just cut out. So hopefully they get that fixed quickly. Right now we're on board the 249 of Alessandro Chiachetti as that camera's gone away. Yes, and there is the 89, originally driven by Patrick Dempsey, 98. Patrick Dempsey's in the car now. He'll be sharing the car with Patrick Long. Very stout pairing between the two Porsche drivers.
Yeah, Dempsey is in the car right now. He had his first professional racing for almost a decade yesterday and fared pretty well for himself. You can see him just preparing the car here, getting ready to go on his first flyer as he exits out of the triple apexer, switching over to the 210 now, and that is Jody Miller, who does not have a co-driver, so that's going to be one of our solo efforts.
Yeah, we're going to have several solo efforts. We'll reach through those throughout the day. Now, this car was previously run by Ander Kovacs, and he ran P3 in last year's 991 class, so he's jumping up to the 992 class. as see ahead of them the Gilliland car making its way through the racetrack. Again, this is a 40-minute session. It is a practice and a qualifying session all in one.
Now, one thing to watch out for during this session is part of the practice aspect of it is the teams actually need practice. We always talk about racing being a team sport and endurance especially so because they're going to have to do driver swaps. This series, we have to remember, Porsche Sprint Challenge, which is what this normally is, does not have scheduled pit stops, so they don't change tires and that and whatnot. Now they have the ability to do the tire changes. They're going to have to swap the drivers out at some point during the 60-minute race. And, I thought, Jeremy, earlier this weekend, a 60-minute race, do they really need to change the tires? After what we saw with the weather yesterday, if it's as hot as that, yes, they're going to probably want to change the tires.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because after one of the practices, I was able to walk down pit road because we're right next to pit road and watch some of the teams do their part. And, for some teams, this is the first time that these cars are under a hot pit stop. So they've got to learn, okay, how's this car going to react under the quick jacks? If you're a Cayman, you're on 5 lug nuts. If you're in a 991 or 992, you have the single lug nut. So there's a lot of nuances going on, and some crews are working on 2 types of cars at once.
Now, we should see most of the regular drivers in this series in the car this time, and from looking down on our timing and scoring, that does appear to be the case. But they will have their co-drivers in for the second half of it, and that's going to be very interesting because a lot of the co-drivers are the coaches and frankly just some all-around hot shoes that are friends with some of these drivers that have said, yeah, sure, I'll hop in with you.
And here's how qualifying will be set. This is per the Enduro rule book. The starting order of the race shall be based on the sum of both drivers' fastest laps in qualifying practice. And the starting order will have 2 groups. The 991s and 992s will be in the first group. Second group will be the Caymans. Now, if you are a regular watcher here of Porsche Sprint Challenge North America or even Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West, easy way to tell who's going to be the starting driver are the regular drivers.
Yeah, and like we were saying, these are the drivers that you see week in and week out for the Porsche Sprint Challenge that are out there right now. We saw one of our Porsches come across the line setting a time. Right now, actually, it looks like Black Sheep Racing with Laura Eli is our quickest at a 2:12.3, but we're probably going to be seeing much quicker laps than that. We saw the cars getting down into the realm of 209s and 208s for those GT3 Cups.
As we're on board with Patrick Dempsey, he's getting the opening stint. Right now, the number 98 running a 2:19.641. That's the fastest lap for him. Although fastest lap in Cayman is Loic Hartog with a 14.3. So pretty quick out of him, which is really no surprise.
JDX Racing goes up to the tops with Sedgwick there, and like I said, 209s, 208s, 208.4 for that 297 car. So he's certainly looking quick on that one. For our Caymans, Kelly Moss currently the quickest with Loic Hartog in the number 17 machine at a 2:14.3. Also expecting those to drop dramatically from there, but no shock here. MDK Motorsports, Paul Bocuse came up with a podium yesterday with the last race of the afternoon, so he's picking up where he left off, currently second in the GT3 Cup.
Alex Sedgwick, the fastest so far in the 297. He just came across the line for that. So we're starting to see quick times come across the board as Patrick Dempsey comes around on your screen through the carousel. Let's see what he can do this time by. Again, he's trying to best his time of a 19.6. That is the 2:15 of Luke French. So he'll be out there. He will come off here shortly and hand things over to his co-driver, Connor Blum. Blum was P3 in the 23 Daytona Roar LMP3 race. So, what was interesting is going through the notes, Joe, and seeing what kind of co-drivers these main drivers are having.
Yeah, I mean, Le Mans podium finishers, Le Mans winners. You've got IMSA champions out there. It's frankly really impressive. And the reason we're saying that, as we talked about yesterday during some of the shows, this is considered kind of one of the more beginner rungs of the Porsche ladder, where they're getting drivers kind of their first chance to get into professional racing, to show what they can do and work their way upwards. So for these big-name drivers to come in for the endurance version of this series really is a testament to how this series has been growing and the attention that has started to garner.
Hartog, Pompelli, and Prema, 1, 2, 3 in Cayman right now. As looks like in GT3, it's Cedric, Bocuse, and Romano in 297, 271, 242. Looks like there is a driver change right now, or at least an entry driver in the 224 of Anthony McIntosh. As trying to go up and down the list, I don't see a GT.
That's Thompson.
That's Thompson.
Would be getting in with him.
Okay, so Thompson's getting in with him. Parker Thompson, that is. As you see him there on the screen, let's see who would be going out. I would imagine it's Parker Thompson, because I did see him suited up just before this practice session, so he might be going out first. There's the Mike Mim car, and Mike Mim is in the car in the 270. Right behind him looks like the 210.
Yeah,
that's.
I'd be surprised if we're swapping drivers this early, though, because they've only had about 2 laps at most.
And we haven't seen the McIntosh car out yet either. So it could be, so they probably just getting out there, getting their early laps here momentarily. Our first solo driver that's up in the top 6 is Scott Blend in the 245. I did talk to him on the way leaving the track yesterday, and he's like, I'm kind of 50-50 with the heat. It's going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'll see what happens. I imagine that there's going to be a lot of solo drivers who probably might think better of it, because we saw how many drivers battled through heat and fatigue for the just the sprint portion of the program. How are they going to handle doing an hour in the car solo?
Yeah, I mean, I do the podium ceremony, so I get to see all the drivers immediately after they get out of the car, and it was an absolute battle out there for them. They get out and they look like they've been through a war. So it's it might only be 35 minutes plus 1 lap for those sprint races, but consider they're now going 60 minutes. So it's going to be extra time. Granted, they won't be in the car for that full 60 minutes, except for guys like a Blend as well as Petkis, who is not going to be sharing the car with a teammate.
Yeah, that's interesting as well. Patrick Dempsey behind the wheel going through the hairpin. As well as times I wish we had a driver analyst to see here, kind of talk to us, what goes through the mind in a qualifying practice like this. Do you treat it as a practice, or do you treat it as a qualifying session?
Yeah, that's a good question. And looks like we got another driver change. I think that's Laura Eli hopping out.
That's Laura Eli out, and yesterday's GT3 race winner, Ashley Freiberg, getting into the car.
Okay, so interesting that they are changing this early, and Laura was looking pretty good. She's sitting in 4th right now for Black Sheep's number 209 car with a 2:10.615.
That's a good time.
Yeah, that's about, looks like 2.2 seconds off the pole time right now. But remember, it is combined. And Ashley put it on the front row for the GT3 Cup race yesterday. Car off.
Chiacchetti off turn number 1 as he goes facing the wrong way, and he's back underway.
So just a small bit of drama. Glad that it looks like it did not hit anything. So maybe just spun it out of that corner. And honestly, it was kind of interesting because we didn't get to show a lot of them yesterday. But our production crew after the race were telling us there was a ton of spins that we didn't see on air that just were happening constantly, and the cars got going again, so hence why we didn't have as many yellows.
And that's the thing, too, and the heat is really going to affect these drivers with that as well. They're going to be goaded into mistakes, quick spins and goes. In fact, one of the drivers from the GT3, Dave Musial Sr., he had no power steering since lap 4. And, oh, by the way, it came on after the checker flag. And then I found out his cool suit, how cool suit you have to have water in there, right? Someone put straight ice in there.
Oh, that's why it stopped working.
Yes.
He told me that it stopped working very quickly. So that's going to be a conversation afterwards on the proper way to set the cool suit up, because that's kind of imperative as we watch the 208s.
And when your team manager's Tony Kester, he's the last person I'd want to piss off.
So Blake McDonald here coming off of another win. Or excuse me, a second place, I should say. I'm so used to him winning out there. James Lee took the victory over in the USA West Series. And Blake going to be sharing with none other than Riley Dickinson, who we had the chance to get to hang out with for the GT3 Cup race here in the booth.
Yeah, Riley Dickinson with great insight in that GT3 race. And we got another special guest that's going to have, I think, just as good, if not better, insight. Can't wait to tell you who it is later.
I want to talk about this real quick. So Michael Galki is an interesting. He has a mobility device that he has to get around with. You can see he has a couple canes to help him walk as well. This is the driver change that's going to be fascinating, and they definitely need to practice this because they, honestly, obviously have special dispensations that they need to try and switch between the drivers. And Mikael Miller is going to be the one that wheedles his way into the car.
And this just goes to prove with motorsports, you can be able-bodied or you could have some sort of disability and you could still be fast. The racetrack where I used to work with, we had a racer who was basically paralyzed from the chest down. Fastest driver I've ever seen. I actually had the opportunity to race with him because he's like, Jeremy, I want to take you around a hot lap. And it was amazing watching him use the hand controls, and it's great that we're at a point with technology to where we can have those guys and women race still. I even remember Michael Johnson. He used to race in Pilot Challenge. When he was in USF 2000, his throttle was his index finger, and his brake he just pushed down on the steering wheel.
Which Michael Johnson? Because there's a lot of Michael Johnson.
We're talking about the younger one.
Okay,
from
not
Michigan.
Michael W. Johnson.
Not Michael W. Johnson.
Okay.
Michael Johnson from Michigan.
Shout out to Michael W. if you are listening. He is I'm hoping he'll show up today or at some point because he actually is a coach here, and I'm good friends with him. So maybe if nothing else, I could get him to hop in with us and give some insights because an excellent driver.
Well,
we've
got the USA West and the Cayman races open, so there's that.
There we go. Okay, I'll see if I can get him to show up today. The 215 looks like changing hands here.
Yeah, that's the 215 competition motorsports. Luke French was behind the wheel. They ran a 213. He ran a 213.5, and of course, I think let's pull up my notes. Don't you love when you pull up your computer?
It's Connor Bloom with him.
Yeah, Connor Bloom will be in the car next. So we'll see what kind of lap Bloom does. Again, taking the sum of the fastest laps from each driver is Bloom taking off on the circuit.
Galki still finishing up. And it looks like they were also practicing that tire change. Now, the Caymans are going to be very interesting. We saw a little bit of a snippet there because it's not a single nut on the car. It's NASCAR style that they have to do those. Yeah,
it's 5 lug nuts, your normal size lug nuts. You don't have the single nut like you do in GT3, so that's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, we're going to have different lap times. We're going to have different pit stop times. But like I said, you have some teams who have the same drivers, same crew working on 2 different cars.
McIntosh, did he just jump into second for GTR
yes,
224?
Yes, he did with a 208.6. There he is. No real surprise there, as McIntosh has really been the breath of fresh air. He's been really steadily getting quick. He ran a partial season last season and running a partial season again this year, but still, McIntosh really, if it weren't for Jared Thomas setting the GT3 class on fire, McIntosh would be a fantastic story as well.
And one of the things I do love about this that I think we should mention as well, for those not familiar, we have the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West and the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America. They're 2 separate series. There are a small handful of drivers that race both, but this endurance series is seeing a lot of drivers from both series come together. So we're really getting a bigger picture on where everybody's speed sits. Guys like Blake McDonald, who's looked incredibly fast. How fast is he? Because it's a smaller series in USA West. Well, right now, the BR Racing car in the number 208 is sitting in 6th overall. So he's still fast, but I think he's discovering, wow, there's a lot of talent over here.
There really is, because now we've got Eric Lapp. He's out there. His outlap was about a 213. Ashley Freiberg just made her fast lap of a 2:09. Yeah, there's a lot of fast guys, and I think that some of the drivers from the West and even some of the North America drivers, they're both going to really experience a lot racing with one another this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Darius Trinka and the JDX 227 now jumps into third. The fourth driver to dip below, the sixth driver to dip below the 210 mark out there. Only two of them have managed sub 209. It looks like JDX Racing's number 297 and the JTR Motorsports 224.
We're taking a look at the number 70. This is the Nick Schaefer car. Schaefer will be sharing the car this weekend with Jared Thomas. And Schaefer has a little bit of endurance experience in the World Racing League and IMSA Pilot Challenge. Hopefully they got that car sorted out because, I even asked him, I go, do we know if it's electrical? And he goes, we're still trying to figure out what's going on. This has been a weekend-long issue for the JTR Motorsports engineering crew.
So checking out those Caymans down there at the bottom of our tower as well. Kelly Moss still holding the quickest time. Michael Clark in the car, number 17 currently. But Petkus is sitting in second in that number 83. So he's suddenly split the two Kelly Moss cars as Pelichowski is sitting third behind him.
Just got word from Race Control that for solo drivers, it's the same with the duo drivers. It's the best 2-lap sum.
Okay.
So if that is from
their first and their
John
second lap.
Maskey.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I was wondering how that was going to work for them. So, again, got to be consistent. Got to be able to put more than just one good, solid lap together. Got to get out there and do two of them if you want to be positioned well. But Petka seems to be representing himself quite well out there currently as we check back in with Ian Porter in the number 86. Now, where did that car go?
That actually looks like Alec Udell in the car.
Yes, good catch.
And Udell is actually coming off of 2 wins here this past weekend in SRO as they're trying to shake down the new car that he has for DXDT Racing. Also doesn't hurt that his co-driver that weekend was Tommy Milner.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, Alec Udell in his own right, really, really fast driver, and I think that that's going to be some team to watch. Just getting word that it is starting to spit, and that's coming from my spotter.
Interesting.
So I didn't expect that to happen, and as we see the 84 Conda car.
Let me check the weather real quick.
Yeah, check the weather, because I'm going to check out timing and scoring.
I don't see any predictions of rain, not until tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it's just so humid and hazy out.
It's gotta be. I mean, it's humid to the point where I walked out this morning, and you know what it's like. You get the fog on your glasses.
Yep, exactly. Ugh. So here's the bad news, though, for our drivers is it's predicted to be up to about 96 degrees when they do this endurance race.
Yeah, 96 degrees ambient temp, reported 110 heat index. By the way, an excessive heat warning in effect for this area. So if you are here at the track, please, we ask you to hydrate. Now, this is going to be interesting, too, as we see the 77 of Tillman Schmid in the pits. Wondering if, because there has to be a minimum pit time. So this is going to give the crews time to really make sure that the wheels are torqued, that, everything is right, the driver's buckled in.
We had a new pole sitter out there, or have a new pole sitter. Trenton Estep did a 2:08.2 on that last lap. They are really flying out there. No surprises that Trenton's going to bring it up to the top of the timing sheet. So that'll bump Eric Lapp's JDX car down to second.
As we see the 2:42 on course, that's Therese Lelou. In her JDX Racing, she is the second driver to get in that car. Fastest time was run for a 2:09.893.
Indeed, and it was interesting because we thought that she was going to be the one that started it off, but no, she's going to be the driver that finishes off their stint. We're hoping that maybe she'll have some time before she hops in the car to come and hang out with us. And I'm actually looking forward to that because the only way I can describe Therese is a bundle of energy. So to have her in the booth is going to be a fun time.
Oh, this is interesting, too. So the fastest in Cayman right now is the number 85 with Madeline Stewart behind the wheel. She just logged a 13.7. If you've not followed the career of Madeline Stewart, you need to because she is quickly becoming a hot shoe over in Europe. I'd love to see her here in the States.
We're talking about some of the big names out here. Magnuson just sets a personal best for the 249 car. So Jan Magnuson is out there now with Kia Ketty, and that's going to jump them up into 4th.
Zach Vanier, we want to welcome him back. He's going to be co-driving with Mike Mim. He just got out on circuit. His fast lap so far on 11.0. And, we're just getting reports of raindrops on top of the tower from our astute cameraman up there giving us the great shots this weekend of this expansive, beautiful facility. You know, Joe, I know this is my first time here, and I didn't know what to expect. But I've got to say, the pictures on TV don't do this track justice.
Yeah, it's a massive facility. It's a huge track and very cool. Frankly, more punishing than I thought it was going to be, which I guess I have to rescind some things I've said in the past about this track. It's often maligned with all the paved runoff that they have out here, but it bites, and it's bitten hard.
You know, and I had a chance to go down pit road and kind of feel the surface, and it's interesting how abrasive this surface is.
Yeah, it definitely is providing some good grip, but it's also extremely bumpy out there. So the drivers have often talked about that all weekend long, and it's not going away anytime soon, so they're going to have to deal with it for an extra 25 minutes out there for today's endurance race a little later on. Petkus just went to the pole in the Caymans.
But here's the weird thing with Petkus is there's no time. There's just sector times.
Yeah. So we've just got a little bit of a glitch there, unfortunately, for the 83 car.
So we'll have to check with timing on what's going on there. And I don't see him lapping. I do see him in the pits, I believe. No, that's a 53 that's in the pits. There are some drivers who have not taken time, cars have not taken times yet. They're on your screen, like the 15 RS1, the 28 AutoWorks, and the 275 of Ford Motorsports.
Checking to see if there's anything that's kind of out of whack out here, unusual spots. One thing we should mention, too, is we've got Niels Meissner in the 298 Kelly Moss, and his is significant because he's used to racing in GT3 Cup, which is the class he's in, but in a 991.
Yes.
So hopping over into these 992s is probably, I wouldn't say a massive adjustment, but I have talked to drivers who have made the switch and said that there's definitely some handling differences.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve there. That is the 245 of Scott Blend. He is one of our solo drivers this weekend. But back to what we were mentioning, there were a couple of drivers at Sebring who made the jump from 991 to 992. We had that talk with them, and they said there was an interesting learning curve into getting this 991 right. Remember, this is, and look at how long it took Ashley Freiberg to get her first win in the 992 platform. It took her a good bit of time, but we'll see how quick Meissner comes up to speed as we see the 297. Eric Lapp is the active driver at this time, so he'll go out and set some times as we have just about 12 minutes left in the session.
Indeed, so it's coming down to it. If you haven't been able to get that good time in, it's probably going to be critical that you do from this point out because like we were talking about earlier, it's plus 2 minute laps, so drivers definitely need to take some time to get the car up to speed, get the tires up to temperature, and then they have to go around and do that flying lap. And that's hoping that they're clear out there. Now, we don't have every single car on track right now, and I do see some openings on our track map currently. But as I heard from at least one or two drivers yesterday, you can still have your lap ruined if you catch the wrong car at the wrong time.
And, of course, with two different classes, that is imperative that you do your best to try and get ahead. By the way, the number, I just lost it. As I just remembered, the number 98, Wright Motorsports, Pat Long, clocked in at a 2:14.4.
Yeah, they're currently 7th in class right now. So they're about middle of the field currently. Nothing to write home about, but nothing to be ashamed of either. So the important thing will be the race itself, which I'm sure will give them opportunities. I mean, honestly, I hope we get to go green from start to finish, but I'm pretty sure with a longer race, there is a good chance that we could have a safety car in there that will bunch things back up.
And that's not a surprise there. But by the way, Trenton Estep with another fast lap with a 2:08.004. Zach Vanier now up to the top of the time charts, second fastest though, with a 2:08.3.
The thing that I love most, honestly, I think about endurance racing is not just that, it takes the raw speed out of it a little bit and brings consistency even more to the fore, but it's also the fact that when you have these driver swaps, that will mix it up as well. I'm really looking forward as we check out Jan Magnussen in the Kia Caddy car here. We'll have our regular drivers hop out of the car, and the co-drivers get in for the second half. And that co-driver might be a lot faster. They might not be as fast. And so you have drivers who are far up the order that might find themselves being chased down. You have those who are having a hole that they have to dig themselves out of and charge forward. So you're going to see so much variability in the race, and I cannot wait to see what kind of insanity that we're going to have to be calling.
As we're taking a look at the 249, Kia Caddy and Magnussen, as they're getting ready for today's race.
Still sitting in 5th in class right now.
And that's pretty respectable as well. As we see the number 87 on course right now, that is
Morales?
Yeah, Morales and Hepworth, as Jem logs her fastest lap of a 17.1.
Nicely done. So she'll carry on, it looks like. Is Morales in the car?
No, it's Hepworth.
Okay, excuse me. So Hepworth going to try and see if he can get another lap in here. Rafa has been very eager to try and get good results, and they have in the Cayman race yesterday. But this is their home track, and so I have been pleasantly surprised seeing that some of the drivers from the Rafa team have actually shown what the experience here can do, because we've seen phenomenal performances from Rafa Martinez himself, especially really being a lot higher up than we've seen him earlier in this season.
Stewart, Thomas, and Clark, your top three in Cayman. So it looks like that the 17, they had that car had. Oh, sorry, Hartog was in there first. So Clark's fastest time last time was a 16.6. Pelichowski with a 17.4. It's about 3 seconds off of Andrew Davis's best time. But then again, traffic could have hampered things as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we don't know of in here is whether some of these laps have been compromised and there's more in it. And it's probably why we're still seeing so many, even with only 7 minutes left, still out there trying to hustle. And if anything, now is the right time, because we've lost a number of cars back to pit lane who are satisfied with their qualifying. So if you found that you either messed it up or just didn't get a full clean lap out there, get out there now, because you've got lots of clean track to take advantage of.
Yeah, 7 minutes left to go in this session. So, yeah, get out there, get some laps in, and see if you can best that time. Though that, again, makes you wonder how many drivers are going to be trying to save their tires. Your top three in the GT3 class, it's the 271 MDK Motorsports GT3, followed by the 270 MVII Racing by Regal Motorsports, and 297 JDX Racing. Estep, Vanier, and Lap, your drivers of note in the car, and it looks like the Porter Udell car is going back out. Trying to see who is going to be in that car, who's in the car now.
It looks like, although it may need to go by the timing line to update. No, they're heading back into the
they're going right back into the paddock.
I was looking down and I saw the RS1 car out there, and Eric Fulguera set his personal best at a 2:15.0.
Okay.
And that is interesting because Fulgueras is extremely fast.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious if we're going to see them start to rise up the order a little bit. He shares that car with Kopczynski. So that is, I mean, again, if you're going to have a quick teammate, I would love to have Eric in the car with me.
No, I agree. And what makes you wonder if it's just maybe a difference in setup, because we know how quick Fulgueras could be. So let's see what happens here, see if they can get that car set up after the Cayman Sprint race later on this morning. That's going to be around 11:10 this morning.
Yeah, and in 2022, I got to call Eric with, I'm blanking now, but Scott. Anyways, his teammate over in SRO when they raced in the Caymans, destroyed the field most of the time. So he knows how to be fast in a Cayman. I think it's going to be a short learning curve for him to get back into the swing of it.
I remember him coming up through USF 2000 and destroying that national field.
Eric is an incredible talent, and he's the driver coach normally for Tom. So he's been helping him out a ton. Again, such a great pair of hands to have in your corner as we watch. I think that's Gilliland out there.
That's the Gilliland car. Meissner is actually behind the wheel of that one.
Ah, that's right. Okay.
So Niels Meissner trying to set a fast time for himself as he comes around the carousel. See if he decides to go into the pits or if he comes down. There is, it looks like I'm going to say that is the 81. Yes, that's the 81 of Tristan Vautier behind the wheel. He's just came out for a little bit of a cool down lap. Best time for that number 81 is a 14 force on lap 9. So Vautier has set that one. And he's really come onto his own as well in sports cars after winning almost every rung of the ladder system up into IndyCar as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, IndyCars and prototypes, it's Tristan Vautier is a name that road racing motorsports fans will absolutely recognize. So he's going to be giving them a run for their money out there once he hops into the car in the race. So Meissner up through the S's as he leans on that car through 6 and into 7, taking plenty of those apex curbs. We've been seeing cars do that all weekend long. And let's see how he is off of turn 9. Definitely bounding the car over, but he's within the white line, so it's all going to be fair. And now he tries to set himself up for the exit of the backstretch.
Last time by for Meissner was a 12.2. The best time out of that car was a 11.7. So we'll see what he can do coming down to the straightaway. Wow, look at Riley Dickinson.
Yeah.
2:07.5. Talk about a throwdown.
That's the first lap I think I've seen all weekend in the 207s, and it doesn't just creep under the 208 mark.
No.
It's 207.5.
He just set the mark of the weekend. It's got to be the announcer's blessing.
Yeah, he got that big overview from up here, so he saw what everybody was doing right and wrong.
So there we go. All right, let's see what Meissner can do as he comes around the carousel once again. He'll get one more lap in if he decides to stay out on the circuit as the field making their way around. We see on the backstretch that is the 208, and that is Riley Dickinson. Let's see if he can get another fast lap. I'll keep my eye on timing to see what Meissner can do as he comes across the line with a 2:11.4, so he gets the best time out of that 298. But Riley Dickinson, look at how he's hanging it out there.
That is going to be such a potent combo, him and Blake McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
I think might be one of the cars to beat, and we're seeing that in qualifying now. So hold on to your hats if you find yourself in front of that black and yellow car. Let's see what this second lap holds. Man, you are not kidding about him wheeling this thing.
Yeah, he's running that thing ragged as he comes around the carousel headed towards turn number 19. Dickinson, as we said, he runs an IMSA Pilot Challenge for Kelly Moss. As he comes out of turn number 19, sets himself up for the left-hander at turn number 20 as he takes it just a little bit wide. passes our commentary position, a 2:08.0. So just a half second off, but still, that's still faster than Estep's fastest time.
That would have, I mean, if he was doing this solo, he still would have been, those 2 laps would have been faster than anybody else's lap.
Exactly.
In the whole session.
And, of course, he's going to take it easy because we have just under a minute left. Have the 99. Find out who's behind the wheel of that one right now. The 99 Gawky right now being registered as the driver of record. So Gawky probably getting back out, and this is what we're going to see a lot during this race is a lot of GT3, GT4 traffic and how you handle it throughout the race.
Yes, absolutely, and for those in
whoa, that was a little aggressive for practice.
Yeah, cutting underneath Gawky. Is that the no? That's Meissner.
That's Meissner. Yeah, so wouldn't be surprised to see Meissner come in because basically, essentially, that lap.
Yeah,
that lap,
that's compromised.
That's compromised.
So the USA West drivers have a slight advantage on this one because USA West runs both the GT3 Cup and the Cayman cars in the same races, whereas in the North America Series, Cayman and GT3 Cup are separated.
Yep.
Now, some of these drivers have raced in multi-class with these 2 classes before, so they will have some experience to draw on, but there's always a unique dynamic to every series and every combination of drivers you have.
Checker flag is out for this session. We really won't know who the pole sitter is until we get the timing sheets because timing has to go in and combine the 2 fastest laps from each driver. But my bet would be it would be the 208 or the 271. Zach Veneer with a 208.3. That was the fastest time set in that 270. But from what I've seen from practice, Joe, we're in for an exciting race.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to this. We got about 3 cars that are still out there. We're pretty sure the 208 BR Racing car is probably going to bring it in, especially considering they're already on top. And we've got the number 8 of Figueres and Kopczynski. Not sure if they're on a flyer. And then the last one is the 223 car, which I don't have in my notes here, actually.
The 223, that would be...
Or no, 233, excuse me.
I was going to say, don't scare me there.
That's Charlie Hayes Racing car with Charlie Hayes appropriately in that. Yeah, there it looks like both the 8 and Dickinson is going to be bringing the car in.
As Tech is telling them just to keep going into their pits, and nope, waved off, so it looks like that they will go to Tech here shortly. We'll see if the 233 and the 233 does haul it in. All right, that does it for our Endurance Challenge qualifying practice. Coming up at 10:10 Central Time, 11:10 Eastern will be the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West race number 2. Immediately followed up by the Cayman race and GT3 Cup race. So it's 1, 2, 3. We're hitting everything heavy here at the Circuit of the Americas. For Joe Peak and the entire broadcast crew, I'm Jeremy Scott. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in a little bit.